Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Signature West Podcast. I'm your host, Sam West from Palm Springs, California. As you know, I'm a seasoned real estate agent since 1991, and I bring you the podcast to bring you inspiring stories. Some real estate related, some are not. Nonetheless, it's all about the Coachella Valley and Palm Springs. My guest today is David Dean Bottrell, and he has a show coming here to Palm Springs this Saturday. The show is called Teenage Wasteland 13, 14, and 15. Hi, David.
Hey, Sam, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, 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 good. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, you've been around for a while, and I'm just going to read a little bit about you. Um, I believe you've been around for like 40 years.
I have been.
And yeah, that's a while. You performed extensively off Broadway and regional theaters across the country. You did some TV and you played a guest star on recruiting roles on Modern Family, Frasier 2023, The Blacklist, NSIS, Criminal Minds, Law and Order, FBI, Most Wanted, Justified, Bones, Days of Our Lives, True Blood, Mad Men, Castle, Boston, and Boston Legal. Okay, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
A lot. It's a lot. All right. So when and where did you start? What was the beginning of all this?
Oh, wow. Well, the beginning is, I fell in love with somebody who was in the drama club, and the only way to meet her was to, audition for a play. And once I auditioned for a play, I really I loved it because I
How
was a
old were
very
you?
shy. Oh, I was like 15 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a kid in high school, but I was very shy, and I was an art major. I just liked to paint and draw and all that. And it was the first time I'd ever heard an audience laugh, because I had said something or I had done something, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. And then I just got really interested in seeing if I could pull it off. And I went to school, and then I was very blessed. I actually got my first professional job before I even left school. And then that just kind of gradually became a career. And I started out here in New York City, where I'm at right now. And then I went to California, and I was in California for about 20 years, working both as a writer and as an actor there. And then about, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago, I got interested in moving back to New York, which I did. So I'm based here now, but I still travel to LA for work fairly often to go do TV jobs and stuff like that. But I was really lucky. I mean, I sort of, like I said, I got out of the gate early.
Are you still in
And
love with her?
wow, there's actually a story in the show about her.
Oh,
I mean, I'm a gay guy, but like, I was just obsessed with her at the time. I was like, Montgomery Clift, and she was like Elizabeth Taylor to me. She was just so glamorous and amazing.
how old was
And
she? How old was she?
she was 1 year older than me.
Okay. All
I
right.
was
Just
15
checking.
and she was 16.
Okay.
And after high school, she just kind of disappeared. And then she came back into my life when I was in my 50s, actually. And that's one of the stories in this show that I'm bringing to Palm Springs, actually, which is a very funny, very poignant story about sort of what happened. But yeah, no, I've been really lucky. I've done lots and lots of TV and lots of everything.
Have you been to Palm Springs before?
I have. I actually did a different show of mine there last year. I think it was like October of last year. And when I was living in LA, I visited from time to time, and I love Palm Springs. It's beautiful. God, I love it downtown, especially with those incredible mountains. Oh my God, it's beautiful.
How did you end up in the theater that you're going to be in this Saturday? Um,
Huh. Oh, yeah, the
because
Revolution
obviously,
Stage Company.
yes.
Yeah. I was looking to do the show in Palm Springs because I had a lot of friends that live there, and I just started emailing people, and somebody introduced me to Gary Powers, who recently took that space over. I think it was called the Desert Rose or something before he took it over,
Right.
and now it's called Revolutionary Stage. And my goodness, man, they're a powerhouse. They're always doing something at that theater. It's like it's busy, like in there, 7 days a week. And so I touched base with him, and we had a nice conversation, and he invited me to come. and I had great luck. I went there last year, and the show sold out, and it was packed. And it was a show
Same
called
show,
The Death of
same
Me Yet. No, different
different
show.
show. Okay.
This was a show called The Death of Me Yet. And in my shows, by the way, I just stand on stage and I tell stories. It's I don't sing, I don't dance, I just talk. And and I tell these, pretty funny and then sometimes not so funny stories, but they're all true and they're all out of my life. And in that case, it was about this. It's hard to imagine, but it's actually a pretty funny show about death. And then he was really happy and he said, "Oh, please come back whenever you want to." And then this new show just kind of popped up into my head this year. And I've been doing it in New York, and now Gary's invited me to bring it to Palm Springs. And it's all you mentioned the title of it. It's called Teenage Wasteland. And it's all these
13,
stories.
14, and 15.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you for doing the whole title. It is Teenage Wasteland 13, 14, 15, because it's all these stories from when I was 13, 14, and 15 years old. And which of course is a very big time in anybody's life. And so it's once again, it's very funny and
Where,
also kind
where,
of,
where, where were you at that time? What were you living? Who were you living
oh,
with?
my family moved around a bit. I'm originally from Kentucky. And around the time that I was in high school, we moved across the river, and I was going to high school in this factory town in Ohio. And it was there was really basically one employer, which was this factory, and they were known for their industrial meat slicers. So we produced more meat slicers than any other town in the whole world. And so it was a very, working class kind of town, really. But that's where I was at that time. And I was dying to get out of there. And that's where like I said, where I was in my first play, and I sort of got launched from there.
What was your creative psyche at that time? I mean, obviously, and what was your sexuality at that time that you
Oh,
were aware of at 13, 14, and
well,
15?
thank you. It was very much about me figuring out that I was gay. And at that time, I mean, I'm of a different generation, but at that time there was no, gay straight alliance at the high school. I'll tell you that. There was no, and also my parents were deeply, deeply religious people. My father had been a minister, and so there was nobody to talk to about it. It was a very big secret. And because gay kids are gay kids, I eventually found a couple of other gay kids in the high school, but we were very much closeted. And so it was a very different time, and you had to kind of maneuver through that school, and that school was a tough school. You were expected to be, um, a ball player or something, and not all of us were. So you really had to figure out how to sort of blend in.
There's
And
always
I'm
drama class,
well, there was not in drama class. That was the beauty of drama class, was that was where all the gay kids were. We
right?
were
I
all there.
mean, that's where they all skip. Yeah,
Yeah. And so that became my club, that became my group.
correct.
All my friends were there. And thank God for it. And we had a wonderful teacher who was this hippie kind of guy from the 60s, and like
Always the
anything went,
case. Always the
he could
case.
have cared less.
Always the case.
He was great. But yeah, but that's how, it was a different time. Like I said, my nephew is gay, and when he was like 17 or something, I knew my sister, being my sister, was not going to really be able to have a talk with him about it, 'cause she also is very religious.
Right.
And I said, let me talk to him. And I was shocked. I invited him out to California, and I was so shocked, but I was also delighted that he was absolutely out. He went to a Christian school, yet he was totally out. And I said, "Wow, that's so amazing." I said, "How did you find the guts to do that?" And he said, It was nothing, not about guts." He said, "I'd known all these people since we were in first grade." And I thought, how could they know me if they don't know this? And I thought, how beautiful, how lovely that things have changed.
Can I ask you how old were you when you came out?
How old was I when I came
Yeah,
out?
yeah.
I came out when I was 19, when I got to college.
Because I came out at 20. I was in college,
Yep.
and I basically, I don't know. This was in 19, oh my God, 1980. And I did basically what your nephew did. I mean, I had no, it's either now or never.
Yeah.
Just, and there's no way of even considering, not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you, I think largely because of my religious upbringing,
Right.
I tried really hard for a long time to
Uh,
not be gay. And it, it was happening anyway. I had no real control over it.
right. Right.
I was always felt bad about it, and I was always trying to back away from it.
Right.
And right into high school, I was still trying to kind of back up.
Right.
And I actually had a girlfriend at the time, and I was living with her even. And then I was, having an affair with this guy while I was living with her. And of course, she eventually found out. And then that was really the end of
Is
it.
that the person with that drew you to the acting?
No, no,
That's a
no,
different
no.
person. Okay. Okay.
Different person
Okay. All right.
entirely.
Just trying to keep up. Yeah. So basically, your show is that you're telling stories about yourself
Yes.
during 13, 14, and 15.
Yes, yes. And they're all very funny, except when they're not.
Well, here is the reviews that I've seen. One review says it's hilarious. The other review says a gorgeous, moving, hysterical deep dive. The third one says hilarious, erotic, and heartbreaking. Where's the erotic?
Oh, that's funny that they would have used that word, actually. I was sort of surprised that they did.
You want me to tell you who
Um,
did? You want me to tell you who used it?
Charles Bush.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
The amazing, amazing Charles Bush, who, oh my God, what an icon that guy is. But anyway, yeah, there is a time when I am sort of fantasizing a lot. There's no actual like sex in the show because I didn't really have sex till I was older, but there was lots of fantasizing. And there was this weird thing that I did for a while when I was very young, like 12 or 13 years old, where I became sort of obsessed with being naked. And I would like take all my clothes off, and sometimes I would climb out the window, my bedroom window, and sit on the garage roof at night naked. And it was so exciting to me. I mean, I wasn't even like, I mean, I didn't even know how to like masturbate or anything at that point. I was just like, there was something about that. It's like it was all the switches had been turned on. I was absolutely
Liberated.
becoming I
Liberated.
was becoming somebody who was
Right.
interested in sex, but I didn't know what any of it meant.
Right.
And my because of my family, nobody told me anything. I had no idea what was going on. But it was this incredible experience. So I talk about that a little bit. So that's probably where you got the erotic part,
Yeah,
but
okay.
there's no like hot, juicy stories in this show.
What made you decide one day I'm gonna talk about my 13, 14, and 15 years?
I started doing these shows a number of years ago, and this is my fourth one. The first one I ever did was about love stories. It was all about what the word love means at different moments in a guy's life, and it was I was astounded. Like I was telling things that I was really kind of nervous about telling. I was telling stories about sex. I was telling stories about love. I was talking about
True
all kinds of love.
conceptual stories or like real events
No,
that
they
took
were
place?
real. It was all
Okay.
true. These
Okay.
were all true stories out of my
Okay.
life. And I had, I once I came out of the closet, I didn't waste any time. I had I had plenty of sex partners and plenty of love affairs and got my heart broken and I was married I mean, all kinds of things have happened in my love life. And so I just had all these stories. And so I thought I'm going to put them together into a show. And I felt a little nervous because I was being very frank. I was really telling the truth. And and what happened was when I did that, the audience, they loved it. Like people would come up to me afterwards and say, "Oh my God, I'm so glad that you said that you said it out loud
People
because
love true
I thought
stories.
yeah,
They love true
and because they
stories.
said I thought I was the only one that
Right.
ever thought that
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
did that
And I
or
was the only
felt
one that got my heart broken. I was the only one that got cheated on, or I was the only one that
exactly,
got beaten by, my mother or my father. Yeah.
exactly. And so it was remarkable. And that's really how I started doing this. And what I like about it, Sam, the most is a lot of people that I don't even know stay after the show. They wait for me after the show, and they don't wait to ask me for an autograph because they saw me on a TV show, and they don't wait to have a picture taken or anything like that. They wait because they want to tell me something out of their life.
Right.
And that's beautiful. That's
Right.
absolutely beautiful.
It's
I,
sort of
I feel
acknowledgement. And they sort of like
Oh
want
my
to
God.
validate themselves as well, and they want you to hear them as they heard you.
And you know what? I'm very grateful when that happens. I really am. I really appreciate that. And I
Yeah,
feel kind of honored by it in a
right, right.
way.
You should.
So it's been quite an experience. Of all the things I've done as a performer, which is a lot, this is the most kind of amazing to me
Did you
because
find
it
it
is.
therapeutic in the after when you did the show? Like when the first, have you played it yet? This is the first time in Palm Springs. The show.
I've actually done the show in New York City, but I'm taking it on tour now,
Okay, so
and Palm Springs is the first stop.
when you did it in New York City, was it therapeutic to hear your stories out loud and to shed your 13, 14, 15 um, experience when you were that age?
I got to tell you, this show was written very quickly because I wasn't sort of planning to. I thought about it, but I hadn't really done anything about it yet. And all of a sudden, I got this invitation to be in this festival, and they said, "Can you come up with a new show?" And I was like, "Oh my God!" And I had about a month to write it, and it was. I wrote it very quickly, and I had the flu, and my mom went up in the hospital. Like all these things were happening, and I was so not ready. Like I felt like I don't know what I'm doing here. And so when I walked up on the stage to do it the first time, I didn't know how long it was. I didn't know if it made any sense. Like I didn't know what was going on. And I got up there and and it just went amazingly well. People were so happy because I think that that time in life, like 13 to 15, is very confusing.
It's very
And
tough. It's very
and
tough,
there and you don't know who to talk to.
especially when
Like
you're in
all
a,
these,
especially people don't understand this, especially when you're in a situation where you're, trying to identify yourself, whether you're being gay or trans or bi or whatever, and you've got families that are not supportive, which back in those days, nobody was supportive.
yeah,
Nobody had a shared mother. Um,
no.
so yeah, those are tough, and you're not even clear yourself for the long, want to
And there's nobody to
express who you
ask.
are,
I
and
mean,
there's no
like
one to ask. There's nowhere to go. Right? It's all being you're on your own. You're just on your own.
and like there's a story in the show about this terrible hairstyle that I did, and and it completely basically outed me at my high school, this hairstyle. But I didn't know. I like there was no one to talk
Was
to
it
about
just
it.
the bangs or what?
No, it was I got a permanent. I got a permanent, so I had all this curly hair all of a sudden. But no whatever it was, like whatever was happening, it was like if you asked the wrong person, they would make fun of you, or you
Do you
could
even,
be
or
telling a
even do
big
you dare
secret.
ask, or do you dare ask? Forget
Right,
finding. Do you
right.
find the right person? Yeah.
And also in high school, nobody can fucking keep a secret. I mean, like
Well,
whatever you
no, yeah,
tell
that's
somebody,
yeah, and you don't want. Yeah, that was not a good idea. I found a
they
therapist
want to.
actually at 18. I found a therapist that actually
That's
was really good
great.
to me. Yeah, and I don't. That's when I started therapy. Actually, he became a client of mine later on, and we.
Oh, how great.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of my favorite
Did you
stories.
find him a
Yeah,
nice house, Sam?
he did. He actually him and I was close to him and his husband, which I didn't meet the husband at the time because obviously confidential. But he was very supportive,
Yeah.
and he carried me through like my 19 to my own 19 or I was 20. And next thing you know, we still
Oh,
stayed in touch. Yeah, that's my one of my
wow. That's
stories. Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
That's
David
really
Epstein.
lovely.
David Epstein, if you're out there. Hi.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, David Epstein, wherever you
Yeah.
are.
Yes, he's in LA.
Oh,
Um,
great.
so the show is gonna be this Saturday in Palm Springs,
Yeah.
and you are gonna be in for the ones that you know outside of Palm Springs. It's gonna be in
Yeah.
LA on May the 22nd. We're in LA,
It's going to be a place called the White Fire Theater, and it's going to be there 2 nights. It's going to be there on May 22nd and 23rd.
and
And
then
then
you're gonna be in
after
San
that,
Francisco on May the 27th.
exactly, there's a show in San Francisco at this place called the Eclectic Box. And it is I think it's in the Mission in San Francisco. And it's on the 27th at 7 p.m. So I've got three California stops that I can't wait to, I can't wait. I can't wait to get there. I lived in California a long time. I love it. And I can't wait to visit everybody. And I'm really proud of the show. I got to tell you, I mean,
It should be.
it kind of like was a miracle that it's going over the way that it is. And people are really responding to it. And I'm so
When was
happy.
the first? When was the first show in New York that you did this show? First
I
one?
did the workshop, that festival I told you about was like back, it was just recently. It was in February. So it's
Oh, so
really
just like
recent.
3 months ago.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's really very recently that I did came up with this show. So this has all happened really quickly because I didn't think anything was going to happen. And all of a sudden everybody was calling me and saying, I hear this is this great show. And so this wound up with this tour. And after I get down in California, I come back east and I'm going to Cape Cod this summer and I'm going to Hyannis and I'm going to Nantucket. I'm doing the show on this side of the country a little later this summer. But wow, it's really been something. I'm so
Maybe have you considered maybe more than one night in Palm Springs? I mean, obviously it's too late.
um,
Palm Springs, we're in prime season, things are busy. There's
I
just so
would
much
love
going
to.
on. Yeah, so you might want to.
I would love to come back. I think Pride is in November, right?
Us in November, correct?
Yeah. I would love to come back and do a show during Pride. I should talk to Gary about that because that'd be a great time to do it. Mostly this just happened because the theater was available at a certain time.
Right.
Because as I said, they do so much stuff there, and it's a beautiful space. If your listeners have not in Palm Springs have not been to the Revolution, it's really really
I
something. It's on
personally have
Palm
not. I
Canyon
can tell you
Drive.
that. I
It's
personally
really
have not.
lovely.
Yeah.
It's on Palm Canyon Drive. It's right across from the Motel 6, conveniently. And, that's where I stayed the last time I was
Okay.
there.
Okay.
And it's in this like mall, basically, but this big parking lot there and everything. But the space itself is beautiful. It used to be a nightclub
It used to be a
at one.
nightclub, correct? Which I've been to that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So it's gorgeous in there. And it's
Good.
really technically it's really something. And I love working in there. So I'm excited to be back.
David, all the best to you. And I'm glad you
Thank you,
came. This
Sam.
was last minute. And obviously, if you're listening or if you're watching, if you can't make Palm Springs, try to make LA, try to make San Francisco as well. And if you enjoyed this conversation, please help me to bring people like David back by subscribing. And we will see you in 2 weeks. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you, David.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Sam. Thanks so much.
See you this week.